Hey guys, Music Man here, back with another Identity V video. In this video we're going to take a look at some of my Dreamwitch gameplay. So yeah, let's take a look. Alright, so before we get too deep into the gameplay, I would like to plug in my clan Mayhem's Discord server, and I'll leave the link to that in the description below. We are a competitive clan, so if you want to be part of a competitive clan, we are accepting applicants from both factions. As well, if you just want to show up there and chat with me or my fellow clanmates or you're free to do that as well. So I end up finding the mercenary right away. Not an ideal target, especially if there's a mech in the match. So I'm going to go ahead and throw down my patroller on the mech. Now I could have tried doing the window trick there, but I'm not really consistent with that yet. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the mechanic once, and there's also the prospector in there, which is a little bit annoying. He's going to stun me for a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and get another hit on the prospector. So now at this point I'm at presence mark 2, and the leech is following the mechanic, so I know that's going on. The mechanic ended up stunning your leech, but so I end up getting first down with the prospector. So what I did was I ended up at first chasing the mechanic, but the prospector was giving me an easy down, so I decided to take that instead. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to send my leech over in that direction to sort of distract the mechanic, and I'm also going to sort of camp that right there. So I'm going to go ahead, leech the prospector, throw the prospector's leech on that cipher. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to have my leeches sort of patrol as many ciphers as I can. And I see that the prospector was rescued, so I'm going to sort of make my way that way. So I end up using my leech there. And a lot of Dreamwitches won't use their leeches to hit other players, but I decided that getting the down on the prospector was worth it so that I could continue my chair progress. So that's what I decided to do, and I'm going to take the prospector back to the chair that he came from. And I've still got the mechanic's leech that she's either decoding somewhere else or she's moving the leech or something. But I decided to leech onto the mercenary here. And I'm going to go ahead and throw a patroller down on the merc. So watch what happens here. Here's why patroller can be really nice. So mercenary was trying to stall that out so long, and that actually allowed me to time it correctly so that I would be able to get a hit on the... I could get a terror shock on the mercenary. So I'm going to go ahead and get my leech also in that general direction. And the prospector is dead on chairs, so this is already one survivor eliminated. I just decided to down the mercenary right away. I didn't really need to do that because there was a leech, but I was like, oh, whatever, if he's going to give me a free hit. So I go ahead and down the prospector. The prospector was dead on chair, and I'm going to go ahead and take this mercenary to the chair just to keep that chair progress going. Now this is the... Merc's leech, so I can go ahead and sort of patrol with my spawn follower, and I see that the mind's eye appears to be coming for the rescue, so I'm going to keep my eye out for that. And the mind's eye actually ends up going past. I just keep following and make sure she's not going to be able to get a save in time, so I'm going to go ahead and get a free hit on the mind's eye. And clearly she's not going to be able to be there in time for a rescue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my way over this way. And I go ahead and use that time to switch to blink. So I switched to blink because I needed to... I might have been able to get away without the blink, but I wasn't quite sure if I would be able to. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick around by the mercenary, make sure nobody's going for the rescue here. But I find that my tinnitus is going off around the mind's eye, so I'm prepared for a rescue there. And I was just a little bit delayed switching followers there, but I'm going to go ahead and chase the mechanic for a little bit. She ends up getting a nice pallet stun there, but I'm going to go ahead, leech the mechanic with some of this downtime that I got, and I'm going to go ahead and use the mechanic's leech to go ahead and share the mind's eye again. And now that forces the mechanic, the mechanic kind of has to do something at this point. So she's going to try to transition out of there. And I use my blink there, and I'm able to get another down on the mechanic. So yeah, that's a 4-man for match 2. And now we're going to take a look for match 1. Now we're going to take a look at match 2, which is on Arms Factory, which a lot of people say is like the best map for Dream Witch. Now me personally, I've almost had better success on Lakeside than Arms Factory. Not quite sure why, but just personally, I've had more success playing Dream Witch on Arms Factory. But I'm going to go ahead and chase this Acrobat for a little bit here. And what I do is, because an Acrobat's a good kiter, so I know I'm not going to get many free hits against an Acrobat. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my spawn follower, and I'm going to go ahead and get a free hit on the Acrobat. So I'm going to have my spawn sort of follow up here. And the Prospector ended up giving me a free hit. So I'm still keeping my eyes on the Acrobat. But looking back on this match, I probably should have taken the time to put a leech on the Prospector there just to get that countdown going. So what I know that leech is auto targeting the Acrobat, so I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get a patroller on the Acrobat here so I can easily get a follow-up attack using the leech. But the Prospector ends up getting in the way of that, so there's just a little bit of teamwork going on between these players. So what I'm going to do is what I should have done before, which is put the leech on the Prospector there. And I'm going to just start having my leeches start auto-marching. So, for instance, this one's going to be auto-marching to the Acrobat. And I've just got my spawn following me here. And I'm going to sort of tempt them to go right into my spawn leech right here. And if it weren't for the Acrobat slow thing, I would have been able to easily get a hit there, but the Prospector was trying to juke around right there, but wasn't able to be successful with that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Prospector to the chair. Now I've got 3 leeches on the field currently, 3 followers, my spawn and my 2 leeches. And I'm going to go ahead and try to get, I just narrowly missed that hit on the mercenary here. But I'm going to sort of follow him around. And I've got my Max Berserker on, so I'm able to switch to the leech and get a double hit on the rescuer and a hit on the mercenary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my leeches start auto-marching now. And I should have been doing this with the Prospector a long time ago, but I see that the other 2 survivors are here as well, so I don't need to worry so much about the decoding progress. Now, instead of having it auto-march the entire time, I decided to go ahead and have it hit the mechanic there. So like any other opportunities I have to get extra hits on survivors, I'm going to take. Just like any opportunities I have to leech survivors, I want to take. So I go ahead and get a hit on the mechanic who's trying to heal the mercenary, and I'm going to take the mercenary to the chair. So at this point, the Acrobat needs to make a save, but it's not exactly looking too well for him right now. And I hit the chair there like a bot. I'm going to go ahead and take the mechanic to the chair, but I ended up downing the prospector really quickly, so I'm not too concerned about that all happening there. I'm going to have this follower auto march, and I'm going to transition this one to the mercenary, since that's where I think they're going to try to rescue, because the mechanic is still going to be able to use their bot. Like, so I didn't really think that they would go for rescuing the mechanic right away. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and take my main follower, and I'm going to go ahead and leech the mechanic here. I'm just checking, make sure nobody's currently rescuing. And it doesn't look like that's happening yet. So the mechanic ended up getting down, and I'm looking for a rescue here. Now, unfortunately, he was able to use the magnet before I switched to my patroller, but I go ahead and hit the prospector again. So now what I should be doing is I should be keeping my eye on the mechanic. You can see I'm doing that right now, and my cooldown just finished, so I'm going to go ahead and place my leech down before the mechanic's able to self-heal. And I'm just going to start the chairing progress again. So I know the prospector's somewhere around. I know that. And I'm also trying to make sure I'm aware of, I could see these two are trying to heal up. So I know I need to stop that. But I'm also going to keep my chair progress going with the prospector. And the cooldown is still going on the leech, so I'm not able to disrupt that at the moment, so I'll settle for just putting the prospector on the chair. The thing that's really nice about Dream Witch is that you're able to multitask so much with her. So I'm going to go ahead and chase the Acrobat here. But being able to both like disrupt healing, what I should have done was I should have tried doing the window trick there, but I'm still not very consistent at that. And I see the leech got stunned there, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. But at this point, there's no way they're going to be able to escape here, just the two of them with two ciphers remaining. And I've got both of them leeched, so... and they're both kind of in the same area without any ciphers nearby. There's this one here, but I'm not too worried about that one. Because I'm just gonna go ahead and camp on that with my leech. And sometimes it's also nice to switch to the leech followers just to get an idea of where survivors are at. And I go ahead and use my blink on the Acrobat there. That gets the Acrobat downed. And I see that the mercenary's de-leeching here. So I decide to go ahead and get a quick hit on it. So, like, when in doubt, if it looks like they've been spending their time de-leeching for a while, go ahead and get the hit, because they're still going to need to find somebody to heal up, and that wastes more time than if they get to the point where they have the leech primed. And the Acrobat's able to use their exit path and escape there. But I'm going to go ahead and chase him again with his leech. I'm also going to have my spawn follower start following up on all of like the exits and stuff. So I've got this follower camping that window. So if he tries to go through that window, which you see he doesn't, but if he were to try to go through that window, he would have been hit by my spawn follower. So my spawn follower is in that general location. And all I need to do is, when I play Dream Witch, if I have the opportunity to go for a 4-man, I'm pretty much just going to take it, because it's really hard to do that as Dream Witch. Especially because I'm still relatively on the more inexperienced side of playing her, just because I just started using her in ranked like last week. So If I have the opportunity to 4-man, I'm gonna take it because in the beginning, yes, you get a lot of wins, but sometimes you can get in a streak of getting quite a few losses. And I was just checking there to make sure that nobody was healing the acrobat. So this is really how you go for the 4-man. You take your main body and you just kind of go around checking the dungeon spawns, looking for tinnitus. And I know that the dungeon spawn is there now, but I'm gonna go ahead and hunt in this general area. And now I see that I've got tinnitus on, so I'm just gonna keep hunting around for where that tinnitus is coming from. So it's just kind of like a little game of hide and seek at this point. I know my tinnitus is off in this area until eventually, bingo, I find the mercenary. So the merc's got his elbow pad, so I know that it's going to take a lot of time for me to down him, but in the long run, I don't think it matters too much, because I've still got a lot of time before the acrobat bleeds out. And I end up using my blink there, and I'm able to down the mercenary. So I can go ahead and leech the merc, and this is pretty much GG's for round 2. This is a 4-man. The acrobat was trying to camp dungeon for a bit, but definitely not gonna work out. I find the acrobat, I'm gonna take him to a chair, and then I'm gonna take my other follower and take the mercenary to the chair. So now we're gonna take a look at match 3, which is on Leo's memory. Leo's memory kind of sucks for just about any hunter. I think personally it kind of, I guess, is less sucky for Dream Witch than other hunters here. Now one thing that I do that some Dream Witch mains would argue against is that I don't go for the Terror Shock at the beginning. There are some Dream Witch mains that are like, yeah, you gotta go for the Terror Shock right away. If you land that Terror Shock, then it's an instant win. But in my experience, that usually doesn't pan out too well. But so what I did there was I ended up hitting with that leech there, which some Dream Witches will be like, that's not necessarily what you want to do, but in my opinion, like, the faster down is more important than keeping more leeches on the field. Like, if you're able to get a really quick down, I mean, sure, prioritize the spawn one if you can, but if you have an opportunity for an easy hit, I mean, don't risk getting like 5 Cypher kited if you have an opportunity before to hit. And I'm able to get a hit on the Perfumer there, and somehow my auto target started prioritizing the Perfumer there, but the acrobat's got all of his has got all of his jumps ready or whatever, but I end up getting another hit on the acrobat with his follower, and I ended up getting a double hit on the Perfumer. So this is already looking really good at 4 ciphers remaining, especially because I know like the cipher progress isn't going to be that great because of the fact that the Perfumer got interrupted to do a rescue and now is just lying on the ground doing nothing. So and the only ones decoding was the Coordinator. Coordinator is a very, very slow decoder, and then there's Magician, which is just normal. I'm here looking out for where another rescue is coming from, and I'm gonna go ahead and take this leech and just put pressure on that Perfumer, making sure the cipher, I don't get cipher rushed. And I see off in the distance that there's a Coordinator going for the rescue, but I can kind of tell at this point that the Coordinator is going to be way too late. And I ended up getting a nice easy hit on the Coordinator. So what she was trying to do was just do like a last second rescue, hoping I wasn't going to be paying attention, but I ended up seeing her off in the distance, and that allowed me to prepare myself for that rescue. But either way, there was no way she was ever going to be able to make it anyways. So what I do here is I end up putting a leech on the perfumer here. And the reason why I do that is because the perfumer becomes a lot stronger when she's at max health. So even though I did use my leech on the perfumer there, I thought that was worth it instead of risking the quick down, instead of risking her healing and then it'd take like forever for me to hit her. So here's the coordinator here. I didn't notice that the magician was also going for the rescue, which is a little annoying to some respects, but is also not that bad because that means that once again nobody is decoding. And the thing that can make Dreamwitch such a pain for survivors is that she's able to multitask so much. She's able to keep all the survivors occupied, either like with this coordinator with trying to de-leech, or with a rescue that's trying to occur, which distracts 2 survivors from decoding. And once again, I'm getting a lot of leech hits, but with a lot of leech hits means that I'm getting a lot of downs. So I'm just kind of showing you that, I mean, if you need to get hits with your leeches, it's perfectly okay. I mean, avoid it when you can, but if it could mean the difference between, like, you know, a 30-second extension to a kite, you're definitely going to want to take the opportunity to down the survivor as soon as you can. And I was just checking to make sure a rescue wasn't happening, but my tinnitus is going off, so I know the survivor's nearby. So what I do here is I'm going to go ahead and throw down my patroller here. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stall it past half. Now I thought he was going to get terror shock there, but I was wrong. And the mage ends up getting away, but I know that the perfumer is somewhere around this area, so I'm going to go ahead and chase the perfumer here. And I know that the perfumer's got sharing progress, so that's all good. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to abnormal here because I know this cipher is almost primed. And the coordinator wasn't expecting me to come from that direction, so I was able to down the coordinator really fast. So that's all good. I'm going to go ahead and take the coordinator to the chair now. And the coordinator was really close to halfway. I don't think she was eliminated. Yeah, she wasn't eliminated, but everybody else is injured, so it's going to be really tough for someone else to get it down. So if I was that magician, I would... If you're playing as first officer, always activate your pocket watch like way in advance. If you activate your pocket watch way in advance, then you'll be able to ensure that I won't be able to just get like an easy hit like that. Like I'd have to try to predict it, especially with a magician where that's kind of unexpected. I was making sure that perfumer wasn't trying to attempt a rescue, and I'm going to be able to get an easy format from here on out. And the perfumer ends up going back, but doesn't really have anywhere to go at this point. I end up just abnormaling that cipher because the magician ended up standing up again. And I see that the magician is off in the distance, and I'm going to go ahead and put my leech over in that direction. And I'm going to go ahead and take my spawn follower, sort of follow up on the perfumer here who's trying to de-leech there. And in the long run, that perfume didn't really do much for her, but I ended up getting an easy down on the perfumer. I'm going to go ahead and camp that perfumer with this leech. And the magician is just kind of off around. And just like the last match, if I have an opportunity to form in with her, I'm going to take it just because Dreamwitch is a pain. So I'm going to go ahead. I know my tinnitus is going off and I see the magician is here. So I'm going to go ahead and leech the magician. And the magician's kind of in a tough spot at this point. am just sort of working on pinning in between two leeches, but ultimately it didn't get to that point, and that is another easy down for me. I end up going for the perfumer, and they surrender. So yeah, I hope you learned a thing or two from watching this video. Hopefully this gives a little clarity to how you're supposed to be playing Dream Witch, and I hope this brings you some success in future games. Thanks for watching. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that video. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.